What is going on, creatives? Tunji from Ceasar Graphics. Welcome to my channel and welcome to my weekly design training where I share free design tips with designers. Now, I have this design I received from a designer. I'm going to review this design and I'm going to show you guys my process on how I achieve successful design projects. I'm sure you guys are going to enjoy this tutorial, and aside from that, you're going to learn so much from this video. Without any further ado, let's start. This is the design I'm going to be reviewing in this video. And I want to especially appreciate the designer that sent this design to my team to review. All right, so let's go straight to business. All right, so here, this is a nice project where, seeing the information and the project is concerned, and which is also part of the things you need to consider whenever you are putting together your elements in graphic design. But that is not enough. All right, there's this part of entertaining the viewers, making the project interesting to the eye so they spend time looking at it. Most of the time when viewers don't spend time looking at our design is always as a result of not making the project look dynamic. And that is what I noticed that is not really working in this project. I know designers, most time you always have issue with long titles. So I'm going to show you guys how I was able to simplify this to make the title look interesting. And there's another thing I like that this designer did here. I like this part of the project. This is looking beautiful and simple. I like the fact that we have the information in their separate columns here, and this really made the project look interesting. All right, so the only thing I notice here is the part of not making the project look dynamic. And when you're working on food poster, one of the things you need to learn how to do is to make the project look happy, because when we're talking about when we're working on projects that is related to promoting of product or food, it's always best to create this impression that this product is friendly. This product is something that when you use it, you're not going to regret it. The same thing applies to when you're working on food poster. The food poster need to show that joy. You need to show that friendly look. All right. And that is what I noticed that this designer did not do well here. And the other thing I also noticed here is the part of using background that is too bright for the food here. Whenever you have illustration that you're using in your project, it's always best to consider the value. I'm talking of the brightness of the color that you use on the background of the project. There's always this part of paying attention to contrast. Contrast is very, very important whenever you're putting together your elements in graphic design. Contrast is what helps the viewers to see what you want them to see in the project. It helps make everything in the project clear. So because we have this busy activities here on the food, the type of background we're supposed to use should be white. And another thing that, the type of background you're supposed to use supposed to be, it's supposed to be black or something not too, bright. All right. Something not too bright to work here. And another reason why you need a background that is not too, bright is because if you look at the image here, we have more of bright elements on it. And this is why you need to use a more dark background in order to project the food clearly. And another thing I notice here is the part of telling story. All right, the part of not telling story right. You see, the way you use shadow in your project also add to how you inform the viewers in the project. When you don't place shadow correctly, it can change the message. All right, it can change the message in your project. I'm saying this here because of the way the designer used shadow here. If you look at this shadow here, it's not balanced. All right, so before you use shadow, it's always best to define the horizon line. All right, the horizon line of this image is going to be somewhere here. All right, it should be somewhere here, and the shadow should be here. All right, the shadow should be here, and the reason why I believe the shadow should be here is because if you look at this side of the image, we have this light effects. So the effect of this light is what we'll call the shadow that you are to place here. So you don't just place shadow below your illustration or on your illustration without not checking the angle where the light is coming from. Is very, very important. All right. Yeah. So I'm going to stop here on this, and I'm going to show you guys my version of the project. Okay. So I'm a fan of starting with the illustration whenever I'm placing elements in my design. So I decided to use the background color you're looking at now on my screen because of the value of the the colors that we have on the image. And if you look at what I did on the background, I created a vignette effect. So the idea behind the vignette effect is to call the attention, or to draw the attention, excuse me, of the viewers to where we have the the glow effect. All right. So when you're creating a vignette effect in your project, what you're telling your viewers is the area where you have the bright effect is where you want the attention to go to, and that part is always nice for the information, the element you want them to see first. So if you look at the bottom of the food, you notice there's this glow cloud effect that I applied there. The idea behind that glow cloud effect is to really draw attention to the food, and also to make it look like, yes, there's this smoke effect that is coming out from the food that gave that effect, because I'm still going to add smoke effect to the food, because yeah, this food most time is always, it's always sweet when it's hot. And the idea behind the pattern behind the image, or the pattern on the background, is to give the project this African feel, because the food is an African food. So I decided to use that African pattern there to give that African effect. So yeah, I'm sure you guys can see the part where I spotted the angle where the light is and the angle where the shadow should come from. All right, or the angle where we're supposed to have the shadow. So I used a shape tool there to draw an ellipse shape below the image and apply a layer mask to it, and fade the area where I don't want visible on the layer, and apply Gaussian blur to the image. Now the Gaussian blur I apply is not too loud. It's just something to, it's something too soft, because shadows most time are not always sharp. All right, so that's the idea behind the Gaussian blur. So I also add a field blur because I really want to give that shadow a realistic look. All right, so that's the idea behind the field blur that I applied to the shadow. Now I went back to the Gaussian blur because I noticed that the Gaussian blur is too much, so I had to reduce it in order to really give the project that realistic look. All right, so I noticed that the angle, the side where the shadow is coming from, is too bright. So I decided to reduce the brightness of that area in order to make it look like the light is actually coming from the opposite side of the image. So, and that's why I decided to apply those that's why I decided to apply the hue, saturation, and curve in order to reduce the effect of the brightness on that area of the image. All right. Yeah. So I noticed there's too much yellow on the light part of the image. So I decided to use hue/saturation to desaturate the yellow a bit in order to reduce the strength of the yellow, because when the yellow is too much, it can affect the making the project look realistic to the eye. So I decided to do that. And also I add more depth to the body of the plates, the wood plates, in order to really not make too much attention go to the plate, but to the food, because the food is more important than the plate. So I decided to reduce the visibility of the food by desaturating it and adjusting the brightness of it and make the food more visible. All right. Yeah. So anything you notice that is not really necessary in your project, part of how you can make them less important is to desaturate the color and also to make them a bit darker to the focus in the project. All right. Yeah. So yeah, I'm a fan of playing. And also part of how you can make your project look dynamic is to do what you're looking at now on my screen. So the veggies are from the food. So I crop them out and then play with them in the image in the project by placing them all over, the project to give, life to the project. So the element that is bigger, I decided to add a fill blot to it to make it less visible, because, when you see when things are closer to you, they look bigger. All right. And because I don't want to create confusion here, I don't want the viewers to think the element is important, I decided to add a fill blot to it to make it look out of focus, in order to, to make the focus go to the goal of the project, which is the food. All right. Then I added more saturation to the image in order to make the color pop and still reduce the brightness of the plates more, the wood plate more, in order to, make the focus go to the food. And I realized that the vignette is more on the upper part of the project. So I decided to move it down to really make it go behind the food in order to make the focus of my viewers go to it. Now, I know some of you may be wondering, hey, Ceasar, what actually inspired the character you're using here? Now, the reason why I decided to use this character is because if you look at the texture on the food, you notice there's this this rough looking texture on it. So that texture is what inspired the character that I use in the project here. Now, I decided to do this because I really want to give room for unity. And like I always say to you guys, unity is very, very important. All right. Yeah. So I tweaked the gradient layer a bit because I noticed that, yes, my contrast is still not balanced. So I decided to reduce the size of the gradient with my gradient tool in order to make my title more visible. Now, this part here really gave me a tough time. Why? Because that part is too long and I really want the viewers to see it. So I had to tweak it and later split the sentence into 2 lines. All right, in order for my viewers to see, because if I don't make it 2 lines, it will be difficult for my viewers to see that part of the information. Yeah, I go through this also because I know so many of you may be thinking, hey, Ceasar, you always have this issue where, placing type. Yeah, at times I always go through that. All right. Now, so I decided to, make the word CU the next level of hierarchy in the project because it's also important. All right. Now, the word free Nkwobi, I decided to make it bold because I know people always like it when they hear something is free. All right. So that's the reason why I decided to make that part of the title bolder. And for the people who doesn't understand what the food is, I decided to make the name of the food also bold so they know what they are looking at. And I skewed the title a bit because I really want to make the project look dynamic and playful. All right. Like I said previously, that as a designer, when it comes to food project, it's always nice to make it look dynamic. Now, I repeated that bottom part from the original design. You know, I told you guys that I like that layout there. So I copied that layout from the original design and place it uh, on my version here. And I'm sure you guys can agree with me that it also added to the beauty of the project. Now, when you have good layout, it always make your design project look successful. So my placing this in this project is another example, is another way of making you guys know that having good layout can spice your project when you do the right thing. All right, so I decided to make the food overlap on the that banner at the bottom part of the project to really create that unity, to make it look like, yes, the information and the project belong together. So when you see illustration overlap on another frame, it's another way of you saying all the elements in this project, they are together. It's not like I divided the screen to make you think, okay, the information at the top is different from the information at the bottom. All right, so that's the idea behind the overlapping of the food on the banner at the bottom part of the project. So I decided to add the smoke effect to really make the food look more yummy. You know, I know so many people who are used to this type of food know that when it's hot, it's always very sweet, and that's the idea behind adding the smoke effect to it, to really make the mouth of the viewers, make it watery. All right, yeah, and that's the idea behind working on food poster. When you're asked to work on food poster, it's always best to design it in a way that it's going to make the viewers want to eat. It's going to make them go hungry. And that's why when you're placing food image in your project, it's always best to make it loud. It's always best to make it big in order to draw the attention of the viewers and make them want to buy and read every information in the project. All right. Okay. I'm glad you made it to the end of this tutorial. If you have not subscribed, remember to hit the subscribe button and remember to click the post notification bell so you get notified when I post my tutorials. Now, I need you to do something for me. If there's anything you learned from this tutorial or you have any information you want to pass to me, kindly drop it in the comment section of this video. I'll do my best to reply you. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.